century, Montreal saw an increase of Jewish immigration from Europe.
When the Jews got off the boats, where were they going to come? It became known as the Main Street. Why? Because the boats came in and everybody would want to come up St. Lawrence Boulevard. The crossroads of East and West came up Boulevard St. Laurent.
In the 1920s, certain Montreal Jews began moving from East End Montreal to the west.
The reason I became a member here is because we moved out to Montreal West.
The Shar Zion congregation was established, and David Cummings was elected president at the first and founding meeting, September 1925. In that same year, the Anglican Trinity Church at Claremont Avenue in Sherbrooke was purchased and transformed into a synagogue.
The synagogue was located on Claremont Avenue, which is on the western side, which is the boundary between NDG and Westmount, and it was a converted church in the Victorian style of turrets and peaks.
The synagogue received a charter from the provincial government in 1926, and Rabbi Julius Berger was installed as founding rabbi.
He was a good rabbi. He was modern, but certain things were important, and you had to go by what he said.
In September 1930, the Back River Cemetery fence was dedicated, giving members a burial place to rest. To accommodate membership growth in the 30s, high holiday services were held at the Community Hall on Côte St. Antoine and Icary.
My parents were to be married in Shar Zion on February the 19th, 1939, but the Shar Zion burnt down on February the 12th, 1939, a week before their wedding.
As World War II raged in Europe, many Shar Zion members gave their lives. But Shar Zion held itself together. In 1939, land was purchased on Côte St. Luc Road, and on September 7, 1941, the cornerstone was laid. In January 1945, the construction of the school and synagogue begins.
The synagogue comprised the basement level, where the halls are downstairs. Actually, there was only one hall. And the classrooms were in the rear of the hall.
I was bar mitzvahed on what is now the stage of the Weissman Hall. That was the bima. It was a very plain auditorium. There were pillars, and those pillars held partitions during the weekdays and Sunday mornings for the school. They were dismantled on Friday afternoon, and the pews were set up to make a synagogue out of it, or a reception hall if there was a bar mitzvah or a wedding over the weekend.
Rabbi Berger resigns in 1946, and the young Rabbi Morris Cohn is appointed.
He was an excellent rabbi. We were very fortunate.
One of the most significant memories I have is Rabbi Cohn's first Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur here at Shar Zion. He was a young man, very young man, and I thought he was brilliant. And for a teenager, that's pretty good.
The fact that I was with the same rabbi for 44 years, which is very rare, and we never had a fight.
I was in awe of him. He was a very, very special person, and his wife, Rochelle. They were two very, very highly intelligent people.
When full extent of the destruction of European Jewry was understood, the new synagogue building was officially dedicated in September 1947 as a tribute to all the European synagogues destroyed by the Nazis in World War II. The Jewish people reclaimed the land of Israel in May 1948. Cantor Gisser, having survived, joins the Shar Zion congregation in 1952.
I went to a bar mitzvah in some shul somewhere on the East End. All of a sudden, this young man got up to sing, and his voice was absolutely beautiful. And I walked over to him and asked him where he came from, because I'd never met him before. And he said he just got off the train. He'd come from Europe. And I say the good Lord propelled me. I don't know what made me go to the telephone and call the vice president of Shar Zion. And I said, listen, I have found a cantor for Shar Zion.
And of course, Cantor Gisser, his voice was outstanding, was penetrating.
The cantor is probably the kindest, gentlest person that this shul has ever had.
As membership increased, a new burial place, Eternal Gardens, Gun Olam, in Beaconsfield, was consecrated. With the 50s came the creation of Shar Zion Academy, and in May 1957, the new academy building was consecrated.
The school is my greatest satisfaction in the rabbinate. The fact that we created a day school, a conservative day school. That to me is the greatest satisfaction I have in Shar Zion.
Rabbi Cohn, I can well remember him coming in and standing in the back of the classroom and spending a half an hour, and then getting to the front of the class and engaging the children in all kinds of discussions, because this was his baby, really.
Being attached to the school, the Shar Zion Academy, which is the Solomon Schechter Academy, I think it's still identified here. I think that people feel that this is someplace they would like to raise their families.
In 1963, Lou Burko was hired as choir conductor.
People tell me it's the finest choir they've heard in Canada, the finest choir. And Burko's been with us for a long time, 36 years, and he's a perfectionist, and he's produced a wonderful, wonderful choir.
The Kol Nidre service. When I look down from the choir loft and see 1,500 people, perhaps 200 people standing in this lobby, and we open the doors, and we even see the traffic on Côte Luke Road, and nevertheless you can hear a pin drop, and somehow I feel the first introductory bars to Kol Nidre when the choir starts is going to determine what this year is going to turn out to be.
The early 1970s saw hard times, financial crisis.
We were having serious financial difficulties.
We were called down to the bankers, and they said that if you don't make a deposit this week, you won't have money to pay the payroll.
And I said, why don't we go to our congregation and ask them for an interest-free loan? With that, we will then either pay off or pay down our mortgage, and it will save us whatever. It'll save us a lot of money.
And after that, we started to operate financially in a better position. We then had a 50th anniversary campaign where we raised over $1 million, and we never looked back after that.
On November 19, 1975, a celebration of the mortgage burning was held. With financial stability came the development of new programs.
And we created some beautiful programs in Shar Zion. Adult education was always very important. Book reviews became very important in my time in Shar Zion. We always had fine cultural events running in the congregation, always.
With the times came a developing religious dilemma, mixed seating.
When I came, there was no mixed seating, no family seating in the congregation. We went through a heck of a challenge to get family seating.
Well, I didn't want mixed seating, you know. I says the only thing that mixed seating can do for you is improve the decorum.
So I'm very happy where I'm sitting. We have a little meeting with the women. We talk to them. I can sit with my husband at home for 2 hours and not say 10 words to him.
Women are not, never mind a right to go to shul, they're not obligated to come to shul.
And I like the idea of congregational, of families sitting together.
A family who prays together, stays together.
In May 1976, mixed seating was established.
There has been a resurgence in all the main aspects of synagogue life, a resurgence of adult education, of celebrating family festivals like Purim and Hanukkah.
In March 1990, Rabbi Cohen retires.
Dear God, we ask that you bless this congregation in the years to come, so that your son, Moshe, will not worry about its welfare.
After a period of transition, Rabbi Lionel Moses was installed as spiritual leader in 1995.
Montreal is a beautiful city. It is unique in so many different ways. Classically, it's a wonderful Jewish community. Shara Zion is a synagogue that is very steeped in tradition.
In 1995, Cantor Solomon Gisser retires, and in 1996, Cantor Eric Moses is installed.
I got to Montreal, must have been 25 below, snow on the ground. But I walked into the shul, and it felt like home. And the stillness, and the quiet, and the general atmosphere of this sanctuary is so traditional. It's so exceptionally beautiful.
In spring 2000, women are given the right to count in the minyan.
Women have taken different roles now in the synagogue. People are getting used to seeing us sitting around tables at finance meetings and investment meetings. I think what's typical about our synagogue is that we tend to move through things in a gentle way.
The future is very, very bright for the synagogue. And I think there are going to be more young members joining the synagogue because of this.
The Shara Zion congregation holds a special place in the hearts of its members.
But shul was my absolute second home.
And I think that in all, this is a great synagogue.
And everybody has to have an identity. Everybody has to belong to something. And I think the synagogue has given our family a strong Jewish identity.
We're like a great big family.
And I would say today, as a conservative synagogue, we are very, very much an important conservative synagogue in the whole conservative movement throughout North America.
All the good things in my life have happened right here at Shara Zion.
We know the value of a Jewish background, and we are imparting it to our children in an active way.
I treat the synagogue as I would treat a member of my family.
Every time I walk up that bima, I feel like I'm on top of the mountain.
I'm optimistic. The community will continue, the community will thrive.
To me, there is only one synagogue, the Shara Zion.